Excuse me. What I want to show you in this video is the text style manager box and why we don't adjust this. What if I set another style? I said new, and this one I'll call the new style. All right. All right, so in the new style, I'm going to use a true type font, and I'll choose a true type font. I've never used this one before, so I'll just use it. But I'm going to say that I want the height in here to be 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. And I'm going to set the new style current, and I'm going to see what happens. Okay, so now in here, I'm going to go and I'm going to get a piece of multi-line text. All right. Now, there's my piece of text, and you're like, Joel, that doesn't seem like it's a problem or any different. But what if I wanted to make it another size? Could I go in here and select this and make it 1? Yes, I can. I can do that. I can adjust that. But once I've gone in here and I've changed that to that height, if I go back to standard and close it, and I go get a piece of multi-line text, you see how it moves it back up to 1 unit? Now I'm going to stop the video so I can explain something. So what I wanted you to see is that if I'm always on this text style and I've got it set to 1/8 inch in here, right? And I go to do a piece of multi-line text and I just put any kind of random letters in here. Do you see how my option's always going to be stuck at that 1/8 inch, or it's going to default to that 1/8 inch? Whereas instead, if I go to that same text style box and I change this back to 0, right? And I make sure it's current, and I do the same thing, it starts out at 1/8, but I can make it default to whatever I want at this point right now. Okay. So you don't need to adjust the height in there. The only time we will adjust the height in here is if we are always wanting that height to always be a specific number. And the reason we may do that is because of the way we need to put and include notes on certain types of drawings. And we'll get more into that in the engineering graphics class if you're in that particular class next semester. Okay, so I wanted you to kind of see that. Another function that's interesting when it comes to text, and I'm going to show you that briefly and then let you experiment with it for a few minutes. I'm going to double click on this piece of text and I'm going to make it 6 units. Or yeah, 6 units is going to be good. And then because it's multi-line text, I can kind of stretch it out, right? And if I place this piece of text over the car, you see how it shows, hey, you know, the lines still show through it and I see everything. What if what I wanted to do was take that same piece of text and make it something descriptive for the car so that it showed up and it kind of blanked out what was behind the car? Or if I double clicked on this and I said, this is a classic, right? And I wanted to shrink down my text box some. Let me do that again. And then if I go in here and select it, or you know what, let me make a copy of it so we'll really see the difference. I'm going to apply something to this particular piece of text, and I'm going to pause the video for a minute so we can kind of talk. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not going to pause. I'm just going to go up here to this option here called mask. And when I put a mask on the text, right, I can say Now when I move them both up to the car, look what the one piece of text is doing. It's actually blanking out the lines in the car because there's a mask behind it, and the other one isn't. What's helpful with masks is that if I am, for instance, wanting to put something that looks like a sign on a building where there's a hatch pattern, for instance, if I have a brick building, right? And I'm just going to do something really quickly. And then I'm going to go here and say, or you know what, I'm going to change to a different layer so you can see the contrast, right? And then I'm going to say, let's go back to layer 2 and let's go to a border hatch, right? And I'm going to make it look like brick, or at least I'm going to try and make it look like brick, right? And then I'm going to grab this piece of text, or I'm going to grab an old piece of text that's not masked, and I'm going to say, what? I'm going to say Lewis and Clark, right? And I'm going to stretch this out a little more and say, all right. Normally, if I put this on here, it would kind of get lost in the brick. But if I double click on it, select everything, and click on mask, and then ask it to use a background mask, you see how there's a border offset of 1.5 units, right? And I can even say use the fill color or use the drawing background color. I'm just going to say okay without doing that. You see how it uses that fill color there? I may not necessarily want to do that. So I'll say, no, let's not save that change. So I'll go in here now. I'll say mask. I'll say use the background mask and say not using a fill color, use the drawing background color, right? Which the background is either going to be black or white for most of us. I'm going to move that over here and oops, and now it actually looks like maybe that's a sign that's on the building. Okay. Now, what did it say it mean by the background color? If I simply right click and go to my options, maybe I don't like a black background when I'm working. It's hard to see certain things. I can go in here and change my colors and say, make this background white. Right. And now it's got that black look there. So what would I have to do? I'd have to go in here, select this all, and now it's white because it's recognizing the white background. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video. I'm gonna let you experiment with some of the first few things we talked about in text, and then we'll move on to something else.